we discussed torsion of shafts. So in the previous classes, we discussed the beams, how we are going to analyze beams by using the finite element method. Okay. So similar way, the torsion of shafts. Okay, shaft is a rotational member. Okay, the twisting force is applied to transmit energy. Okay, by rotation. So the to transmit the power from one part to another part. Okay, the shaft is going to be used. It is a rotational member which is going to be used to transmit the power from one part to the another part. Okay, as it transmitting the power from one part to another part, will be a twisting force we need to apply to transfer. This twisting force, it is going to be transferred from one end to another end. Okay, so this product of this, whatever the turning force or twisting force, okay, to the corresponding distance from the rotational axis is known as the torque. Okay, so as it is the twisting force or the turning force is applied on the shaft, so it is going to be exist the torque. Okay, due to this torque, there will be a displacement, there will be a twisting takes places on the shaft. Okay, that twisting analysis we need to do, how much it is going to happen for the shaft as it is rotating, as it is transforming the power from one part to the another part. Product of turning force and the corresponding distance is known as a torque. It is also referred as a turning movement, and also it is known as a twisting movement. Okay. So as we know that the shaft is a rotating machine element, usually having a cross section, a circular cross section, which is used to transmit power from one part to the another part. Okay, as we know, the shafts are going to be used in so many applications. Okay, the applications of shafts, just I am going to take here automotive fields. Okay, in the automotive industry, the shafts going to be used as a drive shafts. Okay, the shafts going to be used for the clutch plates, and also the shafts going to be used for the fiber leaf springs for heavy, as a shaft for the rocker arm covers, and also in the suspension arm. Okay, there are so many parts, there are so many fields the shafts going to be used to transmit the power. Okay, and also the pulleys and gears are going to be mounted on the shafts to transmit the power. Okay, similarly in the case of crankshaft also. Okay, as based upon the type of application, the type of purpose the shaft is going to be used. Okay, the shafts also call it as line shafts, spindle shafts, crankshafts. Based upon application, it is going to be call it as different types of shafts. Okay, these shafts also it is going to be used in the missions as an integral part of the mission element. So as an external part, the shaft is going to be used to transmit the power from one part to the another part. Okay, this is how the shaft it is going to be does function to transmit the power from one part to another part in so many applications, in so many fields of engineering applications. Now we have to do the analysis for the shaft. For example, if we take shaft rotating, there will be a vibration, there will be a displacement going to be happens. Okay, displacement, it leads to have a more vibration. So how much vibration it is going to be have, what is that frequency of that particular rotating shaft element, we need to analyze, we need to calculate for the design purpose. Okay, so that in the design of it is based upon the decision, it is emphasized that how the shaft going to be analyzed. Okay, so here the shaft, it is going to be discretized into number of elements. As it is discretized into number of elements, there will be a number of nodes. Each node we can able to find out the displacements. Okay, as we knowing the displacements, we can able to find the mode shape of that particular shaft. Okay, so here, if you know, once we know the mode shapes of particular shaft element, okay, then we can easily find out the frequency of that particular element. We must know the frequency of every shaft material. Okay, then how much it is going to be undergoes the vibrations. Okay, then we can able to know, and we can able to control on what is the shaft it is going to be undergoing a problems, and how it is going to be giving the displacements, and what is the critical speed. There are so many parameters we can analyze as we doing the analysis on the shaft. Okay, so to do this analysis, hence we need to have a formulation, the finite element formulation. In the finite element method, the finite element formulation of the torsion of shafts, okay, is going to be carried out. Hence, it is similar to the axial members. Okay, axial members means like bars. Okay, here in the axial members, only the load is applied in axially. It is similar to the whatever the finite element formulation of torsion of shaft. It is similar to the axial members. Okay, the stiffness matrix and load vectors can be derived only by replacing few terms. Okay, so what are that few terms it is going to be replacing as comparing to the axial members? The first one, if you take axial rigidity. In the axial rigidity, we have A and a modulus of elasticity. A is area of the shaft and E is the linear, the elastic modulus. Okay, so within the elastic modulus, how the tensile and compressive stress it is going to be vary along with the tensile and compression strain. Okay, so this axial rigidity is going to be replaced with the torsional rigidity. Okay, torsional rigidity is nothing but a shear stress to the shear strain, and J is nothing but polar moment of inertia. Only this term AE which is going to be replaced with the GJ for the torsional of shafts. Then second one is the distributed axial force. The distributed axial force it is going to be replaced by the distributed torque. In the axial, whatever the axial members, the distributed axial force is applied for the bars. Similar way in the torsional of shafts, only the distributed torque is going to be applied in the shafts. Then third difference in bars, the point load we are going to take it. Okay, so similar way in the torsion of shafts, the concentrated torque we are going to consider. So here the terms mainly which is going to be replaced as comparing to the bars, the AE, the axial rigidity, it is going to be replaced with the torsional rigidity. A distributed axial force, it is replaced by the distributed torque. The concentrated axial force, which is uh, replaced by the concentrated torque. That is nothing but force. It is whatever the axial force which is going to be replaced by the torque. The finite element formulation of torsion of shafts, which is going to be formulated similar to the axial members. Then first we are going to take the shape functions for the torsional of shafts. Okay, the shape functions for the shaft in global coordinate system now we discuss. Similar way we can also have the shape functions in natural coordinate system also. First consider a one-dimensional two-noded torsional element which is having two nodes, node number 1, node number 2 as shown in the figure. Okay, at node number 1 whatever the torque applied is T1, at node number 2 torque applied is T2, then theta 1, theta 2 is the angle of twist or whatever the displacement takes places due to torque. Okay, whatever the twisting movements takes places due to torque. So at node 1 is theta 1, at node 2 is theta 2. Okay, so the as you're taking from the origin, the node 1 is having a distance of x1 and node 2 is having a distance of x2. Okay, this x2 minus x1 which gives always the element length. Okay, then the angle of twist. Okay, how much it is going to be undergoes an angle of twist at any point within the element is given by a linear polynomial equation theta of x which is equal to a naught plus a1x. Okay, now as we know the a1 and a naught are the generalized coordinates. Okay, it is going to be determined from the boundary conditions. Just consider the first boundary condition at x is equal to x1 theta is which is equal to theta 1. Now from the figure you can see that at node number 1 x becomes x1 and node number 2 x becomes x2. Okay, so as it is x which is equal to x1 theta, the whatever the twisting moment or the angle of twist at node number 1 is theta 1. Okay, similarly at node number 2 is theta 2. So having a first boundary condition, hence the angle of twist at any point within the element, okay, which is equal to the here theta of x which is equal to a naught plus a1x. Okay, when x which is equal to x1, theta which is equal to theta 1, this values if you substitute in the a polynomial function, then which gives theta 1 which is equal to a naught plus a1 x1. Okay, this take it as equation number 1. Similarly, taking the second boundary condition, when x is equal to x2, theta becomes theta 2. Then as you these two values substituting in the polynomial equation, we get theta 2 which is equal to a naught plus a1 x2. This take it as equation number 2. Then thus the equation number 2 is subtracted from the equation number 1. As you substituting, you are going to get, okay, so theta 2 minus theta 1 which is equal to a naught gets cancelled, so that it a1 x2 minus a1 x1. So a1 is taking as a common factor a1 into a2 minus x2 minus x1. Then as we simplifying a1 which is equal to theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by x2 minus x1, which is equal to theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by x2 minus x1 from the geometry. Okay, we can see that x2 minus x1 which is equal to the element length, so that you can write it here in place of x2 minus x1 which is equal to LE. Okay, then so a naught constant we have got. Similarly, we need to find a1 constant we have got. Similarly, we need to find a naught value also. Then a1 value, if you substituting in the equation number 1, so which is equal to theta 1, which is equal to a naught plus theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by x2 minus x1 into x1. Okay, as we substituting the a1 value in the equation number 1. So we need a naught, so that a naught which is equal to theta 1 minus theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by x2 minus x1 into x1. So a naught which is equal to, as we multiplying these terms, okay, we are going to get it theta 1 x2 minus theta 1 x1 as we multiplying this, minus of as we multiplying x1 with these terms theta 2 x1 plus theta 1 x1. Then plus and minus terms gets cancelled. It remains with the a naught which is equal to theta 1 x2 minus theta 2 x1 divided by x2 minus x1. Again x2 minus x1 which is equal to LE, so that this equation remains right to a naught theta 1 x2 minus a2 theta 2 x1 divided by LE. So after obtaining the values for a naught and a1, substitute these both values in the equation number here in the polynomial equation. So we get theta which is equal to theta 1 x2 minus theta 2 x1 divided by LE plus theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by LE x1. As we simplifying these two terms, we are going to get LE as common factor theta 1 x2 minus theta 2 x1 plus theta 2 x minus theta 1 x. Okay. Then taking as a common factor here theta 1 from this term and this term, then theta 1 which is equal to x2 minus x from this term and this term plus theta 2 which is equal theta 2 into x minus x1, you can write it. Okay, as we taking theta 1 and theta 2 common factor. Then as rewriting theta which is equal to x2 minus x into theta 1 divided by LE plus x minus x1 divided by LE into theta 2. Now here this overall term we can write it theta which is equal to n1 theta 1 plus this term we can write it n2 theta 2. Okay, whereas n1 which is equal to the x2 minus x1 divided by LE and n2 which is equal to x minus x1 divided by LE. These are the same functions for the torsional upshot. So similar way, the same equations we have got for the axial members also. We have already discussed this shape functions in the first module itself, the shape functions for the axial members. Okay, now derivation of stiffness matrix for torsional shaft element. Okay, so already we obtained the stiffness matrix for the axial members. Okay, similar way we can follow the procedure to obtain the stiffness matrix for the torsional shaft also. Okay, there are two methods to obtain the stiffness matrix. One by using the strain energy method also we can obtain, and also direct method. Just from the geometry direct method, how to obtain the stiffness matrix now we are going to discuss. The derivation of stiffness matrix for the torsional shaft element. Consider a prismatic rod of cross-sectional area A, which is subjected to the twisting movement T here. Okay, so as shown in the figure, dx will be the length of the element. Okay, so and here whatever the d theta which is equal to how that twisting movement, how much angle it is going to be have at twist. Okay, so gamma x, gamma max which is equal to maximum strain which is going to be takes place in the length of the element. Okay, so this figures it shows that the finite element model. Okay, so this overall shaft it is going to be modeled into finite element model, which is having a two noded. At node 1 the torque which is equal to T1, whatever the twisting movement or angle of twist which is equal to theta 1. Similarly at node 2 torque which is equal to T2, angle of twist which is equal to theta 2, and LEBD length of the element. Now from the figure, you can see here from the figure, the arc length AB, here the arc length AB which is given by, okay, AB which is equal to gamma max into dx. Okay, from this triangle, you can see this arc is given by a theta into whatever the length. Okay, so radius into theta, which gives the arc always, right? So that gamma max, which is gamma max into dx, which is equal to arc AB. Similarly, from this triangle, okay, triangle AOB, you can also write, okay, so the arc which is equal to whatever the radius into theta, okay, arc which is equal to radius into theta, so that r into d theta, whatever the theta is nothing but angle of twist here. Okay, so if AB which is equal to gamma max into dx, then AB which is equal to r into d theta. So that from these two equations, gamma max which is equal to r into d theta divided by dx. This take it equation number 1. Then also for the linear elastic isotropic materials, the shear stress and shear strain relation is given by G, that is modulus of rigidity, which is equal to tau by gamma. Okay, shear stress by shear strain. Okay, then shear stress which is equal to G into gamma, that is modulus of rigidity into shear strain. This take it equation number 2. And also from the torsional equation, we have got T by J which is equal to tau by R, so that a torque T which is equal to tau into J by R. This we take it equation number 3, where J is the polar moment of inertia. Substituting equation number 2 in equation number 3. Okay, substituting equation number 2 in equation number 3. Now just in equation number 3, substitute the value of tau. Okay, the value of tau, which is nothing but G gamma. Okay, so that T which is equal to G gamma into J divided by R. Okay, so where from the previous equations, that is from the equation number 1, gamma which is equal to r d theta by dx. Okay, then again this also we can rewrite. Okay, r into d theta is nothing but difference in the angle of twist, that is theta 2 minus theta 1, and dx is nothing but element length. From the figure we can see here. Okay, so this again equation becomes r into d theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by L. Thus the torque equation T, which is equal to Gj by R into theta 2 minus theta 1 divided by L. So R gets cancelled here. T which is equal to Gj by L theta 2 minus theta 1. From the figure at node 1, okay, so we have got two nodes for this element. Okay, so the main torque, okay, the torque equation we have got, then we need to know the what is torque at node number 1, what is torque at node number 2. For this applied torque, then we can able to identify or find out the angle of twist or theta 1 theta 2 at node 1 and node 2. So that first we must know that what is torque at theta at node number 1 and node number 2. Okay, so as we considering at node number 1, okay, so torque T which is equal to minus T1. Okay, from the figure you can see here. Okay, so here the torque can be applied counterclockwise direction. Okay, at node number 2 the torque applied is clockwise direction. Okay, so as it is rotating element, because of opposing whatever the because of constraints, okay, there will be opposing force. Okay, that is that nothing but the opposite torque. Okay, so which is going to be exist, so that at node number 1 torque will be minus. Okay, so that T which is equal to T1. Okay, so whatever this equation theta 2 minus theta 1, you can write it theta 1 minus theta 2 because it is minus here. Okay, so that the final equation T1 which is equal to Gj by L theta 1 minus theta 2. Okay, so minus you just multiply, then the equation we are going to get like this. That gives the equation number 4. Okay, similarly at node number 2, T which is equal to T2. At node number 2, T which is equal to T2. Okay, as you substituting T2, okay, then we are going to get T2 which is equal to Gj by L theta 2 minus theta 1. Okay, which gives equation number 5. Then rewriting the equation number 4 and 5 in matrix form, we are going to get T1 T2 which is equal to Gj by L 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 theta 1 theta 2. Then this again we are going to write it. Okay, so in global form T which is equal to K theta, where K which is equal to Gj by L 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This is the stiffness matrix for the torsional bar. Okay, so the same equation, the same matrix also we have got for the axial members. Only the term here Gj by it is going to be replaced by AE. Okay, the equation it is similar to the axial members, only the in place of AE it is replaced by Gj. Okay, so this is the stiffness matrix which is going to be used to find out the elemental stiffness matrix in torsional bar or the torsional shafts. Now take one problem. Okay, a bar of circular cross section having a diameter of 50 mm is firmly fixed at its ends and subjected to a torque at B and C as shown in figure. Okay, you can see okay the cross sectional shaft or bar which is fixed both ends. Okay, and at point B, point C, the torque is applied as 1 kilonewton meter and 1.5 kilonewton meter. Okay. Determine maximum angle of twist and shear stress. For this, we need to calculate maximum angle of twist, okay, and also shear stress. So the given data G, which is equal to 7 into 10 to the power of 4 Newton per millimeter square, and E also they are given E, which is equal to 2 into 10 to the power of 5 Newton per millimeter square. Now, so we have got the stiffness matrix Gj by L 1 minus 1 minus 1. Okay, that is the stiffness matrix for the torsional bar or for the torsional shafts. Okay, so there G is modulus of rigidity. So in the data itself, in the problem itself, they are given the data G, but we need to calculate the polar moment of inertia. So the polar moment of inertia J, which is equal to pi d to the power of 4 divided by 32. Here d is nothing but the diameter of the circular shaft. Okay, so d, the diameter of the circular shaft, is given 50 mm. As you substituting the 50, okay, we are going to get 6.135 into 10 to the power of 5. Okay, the polar moment of inertia for the torsional bar. Then after calculating polar moment of inertia, just write the finite element model. So as we know that, okay, wherever the load is applied, there we need to locate one node. Okay, there we need to locate one node, so that this particular case, okay, at point B and point C, there are two torque which is applied. Okay, so that the minimum nodes for this particular case is wherever the node is having a support, okay, are fixed. At that condition also we need to locate one node, so that node, the minimum node numbers for this particular case is 4. That is at point A, point B, point C, point D. Okay, so that at 4 points we have 4 nodes. Okay, so at point B and point C also we need to locate one node, so that the finite element model becomes node number 1, node number 2, node number 3, node number 4. So that the overall the problem which is having a minimum 3 elements. Okay, element number 1, element number 2, element number 3. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Any doubt you can ask. To write the finite element model based upon the given geometry, based upon the loading conditions, based upon the material properties. Me, what is your doubt?
Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir.
Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. You can continue.
Okay, so based upon loading conditions, we have got two nodes at node number 2, node number 3, so that overall node numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, so that the elements becomes 3 minimum elements, node element number 1, element number 2, element number 3. Okay, at node number 1, the applied torque is T1 and the angle of twist is theta 1. At node number 2, T2, theta 2. At node number 3, T3, theta 3. At node number 4, T4, theta 4. Okay, so here for the applied torque T1, what will be the angle of twist? Theta 1 we need to calculate. Similarly, at node number 2 for applied torque T2, what will be the theta 2 value? Similarly, at node number 3 for applied torque T3, what will be the theta 3? Similarly, at node number 4 for applied torque T4, what will be the theta 4? These values we need to work on. And from the problem geometry itself, node number 1 and node number 4, it is constrained or it is having fixed. Okay, so that the theta 1 and theta 4 values we are going to take it as 0 only, because if it is node is fixed, there will be no displacements going to be happen. Okay, so that only we need to calculate the values for theta 2, theta 3. This is what our target. Okay, so the stiffness matrix for the element number 1, first we consider the stiffness matrix K, which is equal to Gj by L 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Okay, for the first element it becomes K1, which is equal to Gj by Le1 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Just substitute the values Gj is common for all the elements. Okay, so only one value given, that is means overall length of the shaft it is having the same material. Okay, so Gj value will be same for all three elements. Okay, only the element length which is going to be varied. For the first element, the element length is 2 meter they are given. Okay, so G they are given in millimeter. So you can see here G they are given in Newton per millimeter square. So that this convert into millimeter, 2 meter, which is equal to 2000 millimeter. Okay, as you substituting all these values Gj and Le1, then you are going to get 21.5 into 10 to the power of 6. Okay, so keep it 10 to the power of 6 outside from the matrix and multiplying, you are going to get this 21.5 minus 21.5 minus 21.5, 21.5. Okay, so similarly for the element number 2. Okay, for element number 2, as you substituting Le2, 1 meter they are given. Okay, so convert into millimeter, 1000 millimeter. As you substituting G, J and Le2 values, you are going to get 10 to the power of 6, 42.9 minus 42.9 minus 42.9, 42.9. Okay, this is the stiffness matrix values for element number 2. Okay, similarly the stiffness matrix for element number 3, K3, which is equal to 10 to the power of 6. Okay, because here you can see Gj value is same for the element number 3 also, and also the length of the element it is also 1 meter, so that whatever the value we have got for the element number 2, it is same value also we can get it for the element number 3, so that directly we are going to write 10 to the power of 6, 42.9 minus 42.9 minus 42.9, 42.9. Okay, so this is how we are going to get K1, K2, K3 for the three elements. Now we need to assemble these three elements. Okay, so to assemble it, just see here, for the first element and second element the common node is 2. Similarly for the second element and third element the common node is 3. Okay, so that wherever the 2 combination is there, only that values it is going to be added as we assembling to get the global stiffness matrix. Okay, now from element number 1 and element number 2 you can see the screen. Okay, so from the first element K1, okay, the value, the corner value, that is 2, okay, 21.5, which is going to be added to the first value of second element, that is 42.9. Okay, this value and this value going to be added, only other remaining values, other values will be remaining same. Okay, so that is how we can see here 21.5 minus 21.5 minus 21.5, this value going to be added, that is 21.5 plus 42.9, which gives 64.5. Okay, similarly as you taking element number 2 and element number 3. Okay, from the element number 2 the corner value, the 42.9, which is going to be added to the starting or first value of the element number 3, that is 42.9 plus 42.9, then remaining all the coefficient values remain same as it is. Now you can see here already this is added. Okay, 64.4 we have got, then this minus 42.9 you write it here, minus 42.9, then below this value, okay, below this value minus 42.9, then 42.9 plus this again it is going to be added, so that it becomes 85.8. Then beside that minus 42.9 you just write it minus 42.9 minus 42.9 minus 42.9, remaining wherever the coefficients are wherever the locations which is not having a common points, then there we are going to put it 0 0. Okay, this is how the global stiffness matrix we are going to get. Then write the load vectors for this particular problem. Okay, so load vector means at node number 2 there is a torque T2, at node number 3 there is a torque T3, but at node number 1 and node number 2 there is no values given in the problem. You can see here it is fixed only, there is no any torque is applied, so that as you writing the load vector for this, T1 0, T2 1, T3 1.5, T4 0. Okay, only the torque is applied at node number 2, node number 3, so that T2 is 1 and T3 is 1.5. Then writing the equilibrium equation, okay, 10 to the power of 6, which is equal to 21.5 minus 21.5, 0, minus 21.5, 64.4, minus 24.9, 0, minus 20, sorry, minus 42.9, 85.8, minus 42.9, 0, minus 42.9, minus 42.9. Then the displacement vectors here, the angle of twists at node number 1, node number 2, node number 3, node number 4, which is given by theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, which is equal to the load vectors 1, 0, 1, 1.50. Okay. So after writing this equilibrium equation, so apply the boundary condition. By using the elimination method of handling boundary condition, at node number 1 and node number 2 is fixed, so that the corresponding values at node number 1, node number 2, that is theta 4, theta 2, the displacement values, the angle of twist values theta 1, theta 4, we are going to consider 0, so that the corresponding rows and columns we are going to eliminate by using the elimination method of handling boundary condition. So here theta 1 rows and columns going to be eliminated, so that theta 4 rows and columns going to be eliminated, remaining coefficients which is equal to 10 to the power of 6. Only remaining coefficient values are this is okay. The remaining this column and this column going to be eliminated, this row and this row going to be eliminated, so that 64.4 minus 42.9 minus 42.9, 85.8, theta 2, theta 3, which is equal to 1, 1.5. Then solving this equation, the simultaneous equations, we are going to get theta 2, which is equal to 4.074 into 10 to the power of minus 8 radian. Okay, theta 3, which is equal to 3.785 into 10 to the power of minus 8 radian. Okay, so this is how we are going to get the angle of twist for at node number 2, node number 3 for the given problem. Similarly, we need to also calculate shear stress. Okay, the shear stress formula which is given tau for the element number 1, tau 1, which is equal to G R1 divided by L1. Here R1 is nothing but a radius. Okay, so radius of the shaft. Okay, the diameter they are given, just take it radius. Okay, then minus 1, 1, theta 1, theta 2. Theta 1, theta 2, the angle of twist at node number 1, node number 2. Okay, this is for only first element, only it remains with theta 1 and theta 2. Okay, now substituting G value and whatever the radius, diameter they are given 50, so that take it radius 25 divided by, for the first element length is 2000 mm. Okay, as substituting this, okay, so you are going to get the values 0 plus 4.074 into 10 to the power of minus 8. Okay, so here minus whatever are these values into minus 1 theta 1. Okay, theta 1 we have got 0, so that overall value it becomes 0. Then theta 2, okay, this value into theta 2 is 4.074 into 10 to the power of minus 8, so that this value into this value, which gives tau 1 which is equal to 3.56 into 10 to the power of minus 5 Newton per millimeter square. Okay, so this is how we get the shear stress at for the element number 1. Similarly, there are two elements. Okay, so element number 2, element number 3. For that also we need to calculate shear stress. That becomes for the element number 2 shear stress, which is equal to tau 2, which is equal to G R2 divided by L2. Similarly, just substitute the values of G R. Okay, L2. Here only L2 the value going to be changed, and also theta 2, theta 3. Theta 2 we have got this value, and theta 3 we have got this values. Okay, and just multiplying these values with this both values and adding, we are going to get tau 2, which is equal to 5.057 into 10 to the power of minus 6 Newton per millimeter square. Okay. Then similarly, for element number 3, tau 3, which is equal to GR3 divided by L3 minus 1 theta 3 theta 4, which is equal to 7 into 10 to the power of 4 into 25 divided by 1000. Okay. Here theta 3 value we have got minus 3.785 into 10 to the power of 8, and theta 4 value will be 0 because it is fixed in the boundary condition itself. We have considered it is 0, so that just multiplying these values, okay, with this theta 3 value, we are going to get tau 3, which is equal to minus 6.623 into 10 to the power of minus 5 Newton per millimeter square. Okay, so this is how we are going to get the angle of twist and the shear stress for the given problem. Then one more problem you just consider. Okay, so which is stepped bar shaft, okay, which is having a stepped bar. A composite stepped shaft as shown in figure consists of aluminum section of a diameter 50 mm and steel section of diameter 25 mm. The ends of the shaft are fixed, determine the maximum stress in the aluminum and steel shaft. Okay, so we need to calculate stress for this. First, if you want to calculate stress, then we should know the displacement. Okay, because in the stress equation we have the displacement values. Okay, so that by following the finite element procedure, we are going to find out the displacement. Then we can able to find out the stress for aluminum and steel shafts. Okay, there are two shafts, a stepped shaft, both ends are fixed. Okay. Now, as per the given diameter, calculate the polar moment of inertia J1 for the aluminum section and J2 for the steel section. For the diameter of 50 and 25, you are going to get 613.59 into 10 to the power of 3 for aluminum, 38.34 into 10 to the power of 3 for the steel section. Then writing the finite element model. Okay, again see here at point B, it is torque is applied. So that we need to consider one minimum node here. Okay. And also here there is a geometry is going to be changed. Okay. Wherever the change of geometry is taking place, there we need to locate one node. Okay. So that the minimum nodes for this particular problem is at point A is one node, at point B is one node, at point C is the third node, and at point D is the fourth node. The total number of nodes for this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that the minimum elements for this particular case is 3 elements. Okay. According to that, we are going to write. Okay. So at node number 1, whatever the torque applied is T1 and theta 1. At node number 2, T2, theta 2. At node number 3, T3, theta 3. At node number 4, T4, theta 4. Okay. So the here you can see the torque is applied only at B. Okay. Here only take it B. It is not applied at node number 3. Okay. Then we need to calculate so just follow similar procedure for the for this shaft. Okay, so we can able to find out the we can able to find out K1, K2, K3, then substitute. Okay, so all K1, K2, K3 to get the global stiffness matrix, then find out the global force vectors, then write the equilibrium equation, then apply the boundary condition at node 1 and node 2. Okay, this is also similar case, only the material is different. Okay, for the both stepped bars. Okay, then remaining procedure remains same as it is what previous problem we have discussed. Okay, so just find out the K1, K2, K3. Okay, then just find the global stiffness matrix, then write the equilibrium equation, then apply the boundary condition at node number 1, node number 4 it is fixed, so that this corresponding rows and columns going to be eliminated. Then as it is eliminating, okay, you can able to find out the theta 2, theta 3 at node number 2, node number 3. Okay, the values for the angle of twist. Okay, so once if you got the values for angle of twist, then you can able to find out the shear stress for that particular case. Okay, so just I have shown a simple example for element number 2. Okay, tau 2 which is equal to G2 R2 divided by L2 minus 1 theta 2 theta 3. Okay, here G for the second element is nothing but steel, sorry, aluminum section. This is first one. Okay, so for the first one aluminum section, whatever the value G, they are given 28 into 10 to the power of 3. Okay, into the radius they are given 50, take it 25 divided by the length they are given 100. Okay, then theta 2 theta 3 values we have already calculated. Okay, by following the finite element procedure, then this multiplication which gives the value tau 2 which is equal to minus 854 Newton per millimeter square. Okay, so this is similar way we are going to find out the shear stress for the problem. Okay, it is similar to the first problem. Okay, the one more different type of problems we are going to consider here, a hollow circular shaft. Okay, a hollow circular shaft of 2 meter long is firmly supported at each end and has an outside diameter of 80 mm and inside diameter is 63.8. Okay, so the hollow shaft is having outside diameter 80 mm and inside diameter 63.8. The shaft is subject to torque of 12 kilonewton meter applied at point 1.5 meter from the one end. Okay, so just right hand I taken. Okay, from the right end 1.5 meter, it is the torque is applied 12 kilonewton meter. Okay, calculate maximum shear stress and angle of twist in the shaft. For this, we need to calculate angle of twist. Again, here the shear modulus G, it is same throughout the length of the material. Okay, so for this, first calculate polar moment of inertia. Okay, J1, which is equal to, so it is having a hollow shaft, so that pi divided by 32 d naught to the power of 4 minus di to the power of 4. Okay, outer dia minus inner dia. Okay, so that which, as you substituting outer dia 80 and inner dia 63.8, you are going to get the polar moment of inertia 2.394 into 10 to the power of 6. Okay, for this, then write the finite element model. So here the torque is applied, so that we need to consider one minimum node at this particular location, so that the minimum nodes for this particular case is 3, that is at node number 1. This end left end is 1, at the middle section where the torque is applied is 2, and at the right end is node number 3, so that the minimum nodes node number 1, node number 2, node number 3. So the torque applied at node number 1 is T1 and the angle of twist is theta 1. Similarly at node number 2, T2, theta 2. Similarly at node number 3, T3, theta 3. So for this, we have two elements. For the two elements, we need to calculate elemental stiffness matrix. So K1, which is equal to G1, J1 divided by L1, 1 minus 1 minus 1, 1. Okay, substitute G and J values here only. So the uniform cross sectional shaft it is, so that okay, G and J will remain same, only the length of the element it is going to be have a difference. Okay, first element it is having 0.5 and second element it is having 1.5. Okay, so just G and J they are given in millimeter, so that consider length also in millimeter. 0.5 meter, which is equal to 500 meter. Okay, so substituting GJ values, you are going to get elemental stiffness matrix 10 to the power of 6, 383 minus 383 minus 383, 383. Okay, similarly K2. So the elemental stiffness matrix for second element, okay, substituting G and J values, it remains same for the second element also. Only L2 value it is going to be changed, that is 1500 millimeter. Okay, as you substituting, as you simplifying it, you are going to get 10 to the power of 6. 127.68 minus 127.68 minus 127.68, 127.68. Okay, this is how we are going to get the elemental stiffness matrix for the torsional bar. Okay, then assembling, just this first element corner node value, corner coefficient values, it is going to be added to the first second element of the starting coefficient values. Okay, then remaining all coefficient values remain same, so that 383 minus 383 minus 383, only this 383 going to be added to this 127.68. As you adding, you are going to get 510.63. Then remaining this coefficient values as it is, if you write minus 127.6 minus 127.68, 127.68. Okay, then this gives the global stiffness matrix. Now for this case, write a load vectors. Okay, we have three nodes, node number 1, node number 2, node number 3. Node number 1, torque applied is T1, at node number 2, T2, at node number 3, T3. Okay, so at node number 1 it is fixed, there is no torque is applied, so that T1 is 0. At node number 2, torque applied is 12 kilonewton meter. At node number 3, it is fixed again, so that no torque at that particular point, so that T3 which is equal to 0. So that you can write it here. Okay, so T1 is 0, T2 is 12, and T3 is 0. Then writing the equilibrium equation. Okay, K theta which is equal to T. So K, the global stiffness matrix, is just write down here, and the theta, the whatever the nodal angle of twist, theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, then which is equal to the torques at node number 1, node number 2, node number 3. Then applying the boundary condition, left hand and right hand both are fixed, so that theta 1, theta 3, whatever the angle of twist at node number 1 and angle of twist at node number 3, which is equal to 0, by using the elimination method of handling boundary condition, theta 1 and theta 3 corresponding rows and columns going to be eliminated, so that it only, so you can see here the theta 1 corresponding rows and columns if you eliminate. Similarly, theta 3 corresponding rows and columns if you eliminate, only it remains with 510 68 into 10 to the power of 6, which is equal to 12. Okay, only one coefficient value is it remaining here. So then from this equation, simultaneous equation, we can able to find out theta 2. Theta 2, which is equal to 0.0234 into 10 to the power of minus 6 radian. This is how we can able to find out the angle of twist for the hollow shaft. Then we need to calculate shear stress for the first element. The general shear stress formula we are going to use tau 1, which is equal to G1 R1 divided by L1 minus 1 theta 1 theta 2. Okay, so G1 is just substitute the value of G, substitute the value of outer diameter, that is R. Okay, outer diameter value is given 80 mm, so that consider radius 40 mm, then the length 500 millimeter. Okay, then substituting and simplifying these values, okay, you are going to get tau 1, which is equal to 1.49 into 10 to the power of minus 4 Newton per millimeter squared. Okay, this becomes 0, only this term and this term just multiplication. Then similarly for element number 2, okay, G2 R2 divided by L2 minus 1 theta 2 theta 3. Okay, so G value 8 into 10 to the power of 4, R value 40 divided by L value 1500 millimeter minus 1 and theta 2 value we have got 0.0234 and theta 3 value it is 0 because it is fixed. Okay, so just multiplying these values. Okay, first term only we are going to have a values, and second term as you multiplying with 0 it becomes 0 only, so that this term into this, which gives minus 49.92 into minus 10 to the power of minus 6 Newton per millimeters. So this is how we can able to find out the shear stress and angle of twist for the torsion of shafts. Okay, so the three different cases of torsion of shaft numericals we have discussed. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for participation.